Snow, 2 episodes this weekend. We finally, after, I don't know how many years it's been, 4 years, I think, since we've talked to our friend Kelley Lynn.
That's what I was going to guess, 3 or 4.
Yeah. How you been, Kelley?
I am doing really well. How are you guys? Good to be on the show again.
We're
doing good.
As best as we can, given what's going on in the world.
Right? Yeah. Despite.
Yeah. And we wanted to have...
Given the orange atrocities that are taking place,
not like the orange wall behind us.
Yeah. Different color of orange.
Yeah.
Yes, not to be confused with MAGA orange.
Yeah. So we wanted to get you on because we have some friends in Toronto, and I know you're going to be in Toronto in a couple weeks at the Camp Widow, May 29th through the 31st. Can you explain a little bit about how this came about?
Sure. Camp Widow is a program that's been around for probably about 15 years now, and it is a program that's basically a 3-day retreat, I guess you would call it, or conference for widowed men and women all over the place. Camp Widow takes place in all different locations. This one happens to be in Toronto every year, but there's other locations as well. And the nonprofit it's run by is called Soaring Spirits International and Soaring Spirits Canada. And it's a 3-day event for widowed people. There's grief sessions, there's workshops, there's presentations, there's social events. And it's basically a huge place where widowed people can come together and form friendships and get tools and resources for living their life after the loss of a spouse or partner. So it's an amazing thing, and I've been one of the presenters there for about 10 years at least. I do it every year. I do a comedic presentation, and it's I get up there and basically do stand-up comedy, part storytelling, part stand-up comedy for about an hour and 15 minutes with an audience of 200 or 300 widowed people. And it's one of my favorite things to do in my life. And I know that sounds like a big exaggeration, but it's absolutely true, because to stand there in front of all these people that I know what kind of pain they've been in and I know what they've been through, and to see them laughing, sometimes for the first time since their loss, is just such a powerful thing. It's like my favorite thing in life to do.
I gotta say that the joke about the cell phone call was funny. I was laughing at that one.
Yeah, and it's absolutely 1,000% true. The kinds of things that happen after somebody dies is where the humor comes in. It's not so much the death itself. There's really nothing funny about my husband dropping dead.
Right.
But there's a lot of funny that comes in the aftermath of that.
I can't believe the cell phone company would say that to you after you had just told them, too. Like, and it's crazy. Like, sorry, we got to talk to the person who set up the account. Like, what the hell?
I mean,
I just told you.
In their defense, a little bit though, they're just doing a script. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but she just told them that her husband had died. I'm like,
yes,
what?
And I told them multiple times.
Gosh, that's
and
crazy.
That's the thing. It's like they, like you said, they're just reading a script, and I think that's the problem. I think that we need to learn in this society to teach people better, to educate people better about grief and loss. And, people in customer service roles should be taught. They should have a script for when someone dies and you're talking to their wife or husband or partner on the phone, and that person wants to get a new cell phone plan. They shouldn't say to that person, I need to speak to the person who's dead, because that's not possible. They should have different things to say that make sense.
Shouldn't they at least say, I'm going to need to place you on a brief hold, do you mind? I mean, so they can go ask for help, maybe?
Yeah. How do I handle this situation?
Right?
Exactly.
God, so I think it's a great idea, and I know I have a friend that lost their partner probably about 2 years ago at this point. I know she really struggles, and I turned her on to number one, your book, and number two,
So,
Camp Widow, because you do it in Tampa still, right?
so they used to do a 3-day event in Tampa and in San Diego, but currently they are no longer doing those locations. And instead, what they're doing is bringing Camp Widow to a bunch of different locations every single year for a 1-day event. So this year it's Chicago, it's Seattle, it's Washington, D.C. There's a few different locations. Canada, Soaring Spirits Canada is still doing the 3-day event, which is where I'll be going at the end of this month. They're still doing the full 3-day event.
Okay, and how did the documentary come about on it?
The documentary, which is called Camp Widow, the documentary, is a documentary film short, they call it. It's 15 minutes long. And it came about because we really wanted to get word out there about what Soaring Spirits International is and what Soaring Spirits Canada is and what we do and how we connect with our people and what Camp Widow is. Because when people think Camp Widow, they think like, oh God, that sounds so depressing, or that sounds horrible. And it really isn't. It's really an amazing, inspirational, uplifting, hopeful kind of place. And yes, there's tears and there's crying there, but there's also a lot of laughter. There's a lot of understanding. There's a lot of social stuff. It's just a fantastic place to be when you're going through this and when you feel like nobody understands what you're going through. You're in a room and multiple rooms full of people, a few hundred people who totally understand it. So that's where the idea for to film it came from. And then PBS ended up picking it up and doing that. And it's become very, very popular. It was released last year, and since then we've been involved in I think 9 or 10 different film festivals. And the documentary has so far won best documentary from the Damn Film Festival, Damn Short Film Festival. As well as the Golden Gate Award at the San Francisco Film Festival. So it's doing really well.
Oh, cool.
Reaching a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah, congrats.
I know, and I think it shows two things that.
And I mean it, by the way, in case people want to know. So they filmed a piece of my comedic presentation that I do every year. And so, I'm in the documentary, which I'm like completely honored and proud to be a part of it. So it's just been the coolest thing.
Well, I thought it was like really uplifting because it shows the two things I think that are lacking overall in the world right now: empathy and a sense of community.
Yes, you're so right.
Even the bigger
so
picture.
lacking now.
Have you thought about filming this hour and 15-minute set and putting it out? Because I'd really like to see it.
I thought about it, but it's kind of one of those things, at least right now, where it's like it's specifically for the people in that room.
Okay. Yeah.
It's specifically meant for the people in that room, and if there's something special about being there in that room and having that material just for you, because of everything that you've been through as a widowed person, I think there's something to that. And so for now, they tend not to record things other than the documentary, which was, everybody had to sign papers and things like that to be part of the documentary and agree to all of that. But generally speaking, at Camp Widow, things that happen at Camp Widow stay at Camp Widow. It's that kind of environment.
That makes sense.
To protect everybody that's there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of emotions there and everything. So yeah, for now, I don't think that'll happen anytime soon, but it might happen at some point.
Was it difficult to write the material for it?
I would say no. It wasn't difficult to write it because it was really just writing reality, like what actually is happening in my life. And I add to it a little bit each year and I change it up each year. But it's really like getting up there and just kind of telling stories about what it's like to be a widowed person and what it's like to, face different issues as a widowed person, and to hear comments from people outside of my reality and the things they say to me. And so, no, it wasn't hard to write it. What I was most worried about the first few times I did it at Camp Widow was people's reactions. Like, is somebody going to be offended? Is this going to be too much? Is this going to make somebody cry? Is this going to be upsetting for people? I just didn't know. And then the first, third, and second time I did the comedic presentation, it went so well. And it was just like this amazing feeling because everybody in that room got it. It's like if I got up there and I was not widowed and I was talking to these people and saying these jokes and these stories, it would come off totally different. But it's because I'm widowed and they're widowed, and it's like this community, like, you know, like you said, the empathy in the community, that's all there. And because that's there and we've all been through the same thing, we can laugh together and it's okay.
And are you going to do any of the other ones this year?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Are you going to go to any of the other dates this year?
The other
Yeah, in
places.
Chicago or?
I will be going to Buffalo, New York, which will be in October, I believe.
Okay.
Oh,
And
okay.
I believe I'll be presenting there. I haven't found out the details yet, but I believe I'll be going to that one.
Oh, very cool.
It'll be nice
Yeah.
to go to Toronto, though, to at least have a little bit of break from the United
Canada,
States.
yeah, run.
Yes.
Right?
And I love Toronto. It's such a cool city. It's like full of great music and great little cafes, great food, and just such a cool atmosphere there.
That's what I've heard. I've wanted
I know.
to go.
I want to go. I want to go to
You know,
Toronto.
I've been to Montreal, and that's another cool city. But
Yes, I would love to go there. I haven't been yet, but I'm hopeful that I will go there soon.
you don't really have an excuse because you're not that far from Montreal overall, though.
I know. I'm definitely going to make it happen now that I live near just outside Albany.
Outside of Albany. All right, yeah, we got a lot to talk to since we last talked to you. Catch up.
Yeah.
Your book, My Husband's Not a Rainbow, which I was introduced to you through Opie's podcast, and
Yep.
it was strange because you were on, and my dad had just passed away, and that episode just really hit me hard. I think I listened to it like a couple times through because I'm like, wow,
Right,
this is
right.
this is really hitting me. And once we launched this podcast, I was like, oh, we got to get her on, and we got the book from you, and that must have been, how long did that take to write? Because it is quite a big book, to say the least.
Yeah, it's a big book. I started writing it pretty much right when my husband died. It was, for anyone who doesn't know, it was a very sudden death. It was a heart attack. He was 46. I was 39. And so it all happened very, very fast, and we had no warning or anything about it. He wasn't sick, nothing like that. So my way of coping when he died was to start writing, because I had been a writer anyway. I just always loved writing, and I always loved comedy, and I was, I went to college for acting and all that stuff. So that was kind of in my blood anyway. And so it made me feel better to just kind of furiously write down my emotions and my thoughts and everything like that. And I didn't really know what I was writing. I just knew that it made me feel better. So I started writing, and that turned into Facebook posts, and then people started reading them, and then that turned into a blog, and then that turned into my book. And so the whole process probably took about 3 to 5 years to get it actually fully written and self-publish it and all that stuff. So yeah, it took quite a while, but it was written in real time. Like, the book is it's like a journal almost, and it's in real time. Like, it's not me looking back at my grief. It's like, this is today, this is tomorrow, this is, it's all real as it's happening.
Right. And I thought that was what was really great about it, was seeing your journey through this process. Where can people find that book?
They can get it through me personally, through my website, which is iamkelleylynn.com, or they can get it on Amazon. Just look up My Husband Is Not a Rainbow, and it will be there.
Yeah. I actually recommend people go to your website directly, though, just
Yeah.
because.
For me, it's a little bit cheaper because Amazon charges more, and I keep a bunch of copies here at my house, and then I can just ship it out and sign it for you and charge you a little less.
Awesome. I know that I've bought a couple extra copies for a couple of my friends that were going through stuff, and they really appreciated it.
That's awesome.
So,
Thank you for that.
all right. So last we talked, you got into dating again. You got remarried.
Yeah.
What was the dating process like at first on it? Was it? It must have been kind of difficult. The very first, like, hey, I'm gonna put myself out there again.
Yeah. So, are you talking about when I was first widowed?
Yeah, when you were first widowed and getting back into the dating thing.
Yeah. So I didn't do it right away. I waited like 5 years. I know that sounds like a long time, but I was not ready at all for like 5 years ish. I didn't even want to think about dating. I was just like, I want my husband back. He's dead. I hate this. I want him and nobody else. I felt that way for 5 years at least. And then slowly that started to shift at around the 5 year mark. And I just started getting lonely. And I was just like, this stinks. And I could have coffee with somebody. That's going to hurt anything, right? I could have dinner. And it kind of slowly shifted like that. So I went on the dating apps, and it's a nightmare. I don't know if you've ever experienced it.
Yeah.
Have you been to Kingman, Arizona? You think it's hard there?
It's even slimmer pickings here.
Our best option is to go to Vegas, and you can imagine what that's like.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's really interesting.
Yeah.
The funny thing is when I was finally ready to start like thinking about the concept of dating again, I was, at first I had tried to make it in New York City, which is where, Jersey, where Don and I lived when he died. We were in Jersey, about 10 minutes outside of New York City is where we lived. And so for 5 years or so, I tried to stay there because I wanted to keep acting and keep going on auditions and keep doing stand-up and all of that. But 5 years of doing that by myself without my husband and without his help, his emotional support, his financial support, all of it. He was just such a big help in that life to me. It just didn't work. I had to get roommates again. I had to go. I felt like I was going backwards, just to survive. And then it came to the point finally where I was like, this is pointless. Why am I even staying in New York? I'm not even auditioning anymore. I'm not even doing the things I love. I'm just working 3 jobs and struggling like crazy just to survive. So I left New York, went back to my home state of Massachusetts, and stayed with my parents for a while. And that's where I finished my book. That's where, my dad said, why don't you come back here, finish your book? And, you don't have to worry about paying rent and stuff like that for a while and just get back on your feet. So I did that, finished the book, and that's when I started dating again. So I was living in my parents' basement, literally. I was in my 40s, living in my parents' basement. I was a widow, and I had 2 cats. I was like, really? Like, could this be any more cliche?
Was that appealing to the men on, whatever page?
As you can imagine, it was very appealing. They were picking me up in my parents' basement. Like, you have to give it to them, though. Most of the guys were very, very nice and very cool about it. Like, I'd be like, I don't have a car, and I live in my parents' basement, and, my husband died a few years ago, so I'm a widow, and, I don't really have a job right now. I work part-time for a real estate company, and, they were just like, okay. But I had a bunch of guys show up, pick me up, meet my parents, take me out for dinner. I mean, it was very interesting.
Yeah. I remember one horror story you told us about the last time. You can look up the past episode. But then you met somebody and got married. Remarried.
Yes. So, yeah, it's so strange. So, yes, I did end up meeting someone, and I got married to that person, and we got married in 2020 during the pandemic on New Year's Eve in a private ceremony that was also on Facebook. So like thousands of people attended it on Facebook. And then that lasted 3 years and turned into a divorce, a very nasty divorce, actually. And there I was back on my own. And, we bought a house together. We moved, we got married. It was a whole thing. It was like a whole new life. And then it was gone 3 years later and did not work out in any way. We were basically not compatible in any way whatsoever.
Oh, no.
And you didn't realize that till after you were living together.
We kind of didn't realize that until we were living together. And I feel like you have to live with somebody to really realize that. When you're dating, it's very different. People can hide a lot of things when they're just dating you. But when you live with somebody, there's a lot of things that, it's like, oh, this is what it's like to live with this person. This is very different. So, yeah, we just had a very, very different way of looking at life. And, part of the issue was he was not widowed. He is not widowed, and I am. And I think that you have to be a certain kind of person to be able to properly love a widowed person. That is my opinion. After all the dating I've done and in the aftermath of my loss, I just think you have to be a certain type of person who is very, very willing to share your heart in a way, because I'm always going to love Don, my husband who died. I'm always going to love him, and I'm not going to get over him. I'm not going to, it wasn't a divorce. He died, and I love him, and I'll love him forever. And I have room in my heart for new love, and that's just the way it is. And so my ex-husband tried to understand that, but in the end, he couldn't. That wasn't all of the reason why we got divorced, but it was certainly part of it.
Jealousy issues?
Not even really jealousy, just more of, I think he thought that once we got married, that I would sort of identify as his wife and that the widow part of me would sort of go away. And that's not really what happens. It's just, that part of me is always a part of me. And I'm a grief counselor. I do speaking engagements about grief and loss. I do these Camp Widow events. I have my book. Like, helping other people through loss, and especially widow people, is a huge part of my life now. Like, it's a huge part of me. And I use my comedy to talk about that stuff. And I don't think he truly understood how much of a part of my life it is. And he expected it to kind of go by the wayside now that I'm married. And that didn't happen.
And was that a difficult transition, or did you just kind of realize, like, hey, this isn't working, this is for the best? Cause I imagine after what you've been through to have that happen within, the next, 10 years or so, approximately.
Right. It was both. It was really, really hard while I was going through it. Like, it was just, I can't get into too much detail about it, but it was a nasty divorce. It was not fun. There was a lot of bad things that went on. So it was not a good time in my life. But after it was all over and when we sold the house and I was back on my own again, I was probably in a better place mentally than I've been in a long time. Like, oh my God, this was not the right person for me. And just kind of realizing, like, I felt freed from it, and like, now I can live an actual life that maybe I can have joy again, because this was not what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and since everything happens for a reason, that you did meet someone else.
Yes.
Yeah. So, hey, there you go.
Meet someone else.
How'd that go about?
I started dating again on the dating apps, but this time when I went on the dating apps, I had a much better experience. And I think it was because I just didn't care. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean I was kind of like, hey, this will be fun. I'm just going to go out there. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to, like, have a good time, have some casual relationships, whatever. Like, I just didn't care. I was just going out there to see what happens. And I didn't really have a lot put into it. And I fell in love. I went on this dating app called Chapter 2, and it's specifically for widowed people to find each other. And I met a widower, and he happens to live in Albany, or just outside Albany, New York. And we dated each other for about 6 or 7 months. And then I moved here to Albany into his house. So here I am. That's where I am right now.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
That was about a year ago, a little over a year ago, we met each other. And we've been madly in love ever since. And he's widowed too. So we often say that our relationship has 4 people in it. Me and him and his late wife, Karen, and my late husband, Don. There's 4 people in this relationship. It's a little strange, but it's beautiful and it's profound and it's funny a lot
That
of times.
is very awesome, and we're happy for
Yeah,
you.
that's so cool.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
We're very happy together and we're very sad together.
I know. I mean, I know we're coming up on like the 15th anniversary. I think we mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
Is it still hard every year?
Yeah, it'll be 15 years in July since Don's death. And I would say no. I would say it is hard every year, but it's more sad every year. It's sad. It's just always sad. But it definitely gets different, and I would say it gets easier, and it gets lighter and softer, not as harsh. The first few years are brutal, or at least they were for me. They're brutal. After that, it starts to soften, and time doesn't really do anything. At least I don't think so. It's what you do with the time. I mean, I know people who have been out of their loss for 10 years, 20 years, and they're still in a terrible place. And it's because they didn't do anything with the time. They didn't do any sort of grief work. They didn't go to see a grief counselor, or they didn't join support groups, or they didn't write about it or process through the grief in some way. And I believe you have to do that, because if you don't, it's going to come out anyway. If you don't process through your grief, it's going to come out in an unhealthy way if you don't process it in a healthy way. So that is my belief, and I think that's why it's a lot easier now, because I've done that. I've done all the hard work over the years, and I'm in a much better place now, like mentally and emotionally and all that kind of stuff.
I know. And I had recently lost my mom, and
Yes.
I reached out to you because we were talking about getting you back on the show. We've been talking about this for a while. We just haven't had the scheduling. But I thought,
Right.
wow, this would be a good time to do it right now. And I had wrote to you on Kelley, I don't know what to do. It's been 3 weeks and I haven't cried yet. And I'm like, I should be feeling these emotions. And I would just bury myself through, work on this podcast, my own work, my kids and whatever. But I'm like, how come I'm not feeling what I think I should be feeling? And you told me that will come out in time, that you just have to work through it yourself. And I thank you for that message.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone handles it completely differently. Everyone copes completely differently. And some people are criers and some people aren't. And some people, it might take 2 months, 3 months, 4 months before you have like an emotional breakdown of some kind, before you have a moment or lots of moments where it just really hits you. And you just don't know. I kind of feel like the grief is in charge and we're just sort of following along. You think you can figure it out, but as soon as you're trying to figure out grief, it takes another turn that you don't expect. And so the best thing to do is just kind of let it happen. Let the emotions come when they come, and don't be afraid of them, and let them happen, and know that every emotion is a healthy thing to be feeling or going through. Crying is very healthy. Laughing is very healthy. All of it is very healthy as long as you do it in a healthy way.
Yeah, I know for me it was because last week was Mother's Day. And I was like, okay, maybe this is when it'll come in. And our friend Roz just texted me, hey, this is going to affect you hard this weekend. I just wanted to make sure you're okay and if you need someone to talk to. And that was the moment where it was just like, okay, you can cry now. And I thank Roz for that. I know she'll be listening.
Yep. And I'm sure there'll be more moments like that, you know?
Yeah. And also people should check out your TED Talk on YouTube.
Yes.
On it.
Yes.
It is
if you just
great.
Google TED Talk, Kelley Lynn, TED Talk, and then my name, it comes right up.
Yeah, 'cause I thought that was brilliant. And whenever
Thank you.
my friends are going through something, I just suggest, like, hey, you should watch this. I think it'll help.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, the basic message of the TED Talk is that, you know, when someone you love dies, there's no such thing as moving on. I don't believe in the concept of moving on. We move forward. We move with it. We move with our losses. We carry them forward with us, and it's our choice. Once the mind-numbing pain has been felt, it's our choice how we carry those losses and that love forward. And I think that is a healthy way to be and to live, is to let our losses kind of fuel us into living more life and living happier lives and more joyful lives, carrying those people and their love with us.
Yeah, and one of the things that I took from that TED Talk is everybody tells you, oh, hey, if there's anything I can do for you, and they don't follow through on it.
Yeah.
You know, because I've had friends that be like, hey, if you need to talk, and I'll text them like, hey, what are you up to? And they'll be like, hey, I'll call you in a couple of days. I'm like, no, I kind of really needed someone to talk to right at this moment, you know?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, call me day or night or day, whenever you want. And it's like, yeah, okay. You really want me to call you at 3 a.m. when I'm crying my head off and I need someone to talk to? And, you know, I don't think so.
Yeah. Very profound.
People generally don't know what to say, so they often say things that are either just stupid or unhelpful or sometimes hurtful, you know, and I don't think they mean to be hurtful, or they don't mean to be, you know, saying things that are like that, but they just do, because we're a very uneducated society when it comes to grief. Yeah. Very uneducated.
Well, you're doing good work, though. I also wanted to, I didn't realize that you could sing. And you got involved with the local, you can explain better this part of it. I mentioned this because Snow is looking to move, and she wanted to get into more of, you know, local productions and stuff like that, you know, and get herself out in the community. So how'd that come about with you joining this musical group?
Oh, you're talking about Rock Voices?
Yeah.
Yeah, Rock Voices is an amazing organization. It's basically a rock-based choir, and there are, I think, 60 or 65 locations in the United States of Rock Voices. You can go to rockvoices.com to find out where the locations are, but most of them are on the East Coast. There's a few in other places as well. And it's basically choirs that perform in different theaters and stuff and do concerts with a live rock band. And it's all rock and roll music and pop music, and from all different decades. And it's great. It's so much fun. And you can audition for solos if you want a solo in the concert. But to just join, anybody can join. And it's very community-based. They do a lot of work for the local, whatever the local community is that Rock Voices is in. They do charity for different local organizations in that town or in that area, and they do raffles and different things to do fundraisers for different organizations in those areas where they perform. And it's such a fun way. I think it's like really hard to meet people, like friendships, when you get to a certain age, like above 40. It gets harder to meet new friends, you know, and this is such a cool way to meet new friends and to just have fun. And music is so healing, and singing is so healing, and it's just a total blast, and it's a great way to meet new people and to have fun doing it.
I think I saw one of these, what you're talking about on Instagram. I think they did.
Yeah.
It was like a choir. They did a mix of, they did an Ozzy Osbourne songs
Yes.
combined
Yes.
with Rage Against the Machine.
Yes.
It was like a local one in Maine. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's so much fun, and it's like that. It's music like that. I mean, our last concert we did Boston. We did some Boston. We did some Three Dog Night. We did all kinds of stuff. And Ozzy Osbourne we did in the concert before that. So the next concert I'm part of Rock Voices Albany now, and then our next concert will be August 2nd. We start rehearsals on Tuesday for that, and sometimes there's a theme. So the theme for this one is going to be movies, music from the movies. So
Oh, cool.
that's going to be a blast. Yeah. So we're going to be doing a James Bond medley and all kinds of fun stuff. I can't wait.
Cool.
How fun.
Did you research that and find that to fulfill your need to perform something?
Yes, it's become such a fun, peaceful thing, and it's also like such a cool thing for me personally because that was such a big part of me and Don's life. Like, he was a guitar player and I'm a singer, and so we always used to just hang around the apartment together, and he would play songs and we would learn them together, and I would sing them and he would play, and that was our favorite thing to do, one of our favorite things to do together. So after he died, I really missed doing that, and it was a few years before I could really get into music again in that way and perform it and sing it without it being kind of painful or missing him so much. But now, all these years later, that's one of the things that, is so great now. If he was here, he would love being part of this or being, part of the live band or whatever, or just attending and watching me sing.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That'd be cool.
It's a blast.
Do you have any?
I got to sing The Grateful Dead in the last concert. That was my solo, was Eyes of the World by The Grateful Dead. And that was so much fun to sing that in front of the place we perform in Albany is called The Egg, and it seats about 950 people. So that was
cool.
really fun to do a solo with a live rock band singing The Grateful Dead in front of, almost 1,000 people.
And that was the video's on your Facebook, isn't it?
Yeah. I had put it up. They do record the shows, and I have put it up on my Facebook page, I believe.
I need to check that one out.
Yeah, I gotta check it out.
Cool. Do you have any dating advice for Snow or I? Because you seem to be more lucky in love than us.
Right?
It may seem that way, but I just keep trying. That would be my advice. Just keep trying, because it's silly as it sounds, it really is a numbers game. Because I went out with a lot of people. I had a lot of bad dates. I had a lot of weird dates. I had a lot of scammers. You run into the scammers online and stuff like that. Just keep trying and keep an open mind, and try to look at every situation that you go into, every coffee meetup or whatever, as just that. Try not to put too much stock into it in the beginning. Just be in your head, I'm going to go get a cup of coffee, and this person might become a new friend, and they might be a complete douchebag, and I never want to talk to them again. Doesn't matter.
Well,
either way, it's just a cup of coffee.
Well, Snow and I met on a dating site, and then around our area there's a lot of hiking trails, so we met up there to go on a hike. But then we immediately realized we had the same last name, and we're like, no, we can't risk that.
We'll be friends.
Yeah, we'll just be friends. And that friendship produced this. So.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I didn't realize you met that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
Yeah. And it was during this is how it all ties in, the brilliance of this podcast. We were both Bernie Sanders supporters, and that's what really clicked. And we're both like political junkies. And
didn't always used to be. I didn't always used to be, but I became. When you move to rural America, you kind of turn it.
Yeah. So this
Kind of what happened.
very shortly after, there was that first Republican debate where there's like 16 people on stage with Trump. Well, 15 people and Trump up there. And Trump was just going through each one, just knocking each one down. And Snow and I just sat there. We called the entire election that night. We were just like, this guy's going to win the nomination.
They're gonna pick this douchebag.
Yeah. The Republicans
like
are.
I'm like, they should go with Kasich, but they're gonna pick this douche.
Yeah. And at the same time, being Bernie supporters were like, well, Democrats aren't going to let Bernie win. They're going to go with Hillary because it's her term. And I'm like, watch this happen because people. I like Hillary Clinton, but she has some baggage. We'll just say that. I'm like, oh my God, watch this guy actually become president. And it happened.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
Not only did it happen, it happened again.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
That's what I will never know the answer to that one. And I will never know the answer to so many things about this douchebag, as you so rightly said.
Yeah, right.
I don't get it at all at this point. I just don't, like, after all of it, after all that's happened, I literally don't understand how any human being can still support this man. I don't understand it. It's just like, it's so obvious what a piece of garbage he is, and in every way imaginable. He's just not a good human being.
Yeah, and you live outside of Albany, so is it like a kind of a red area, or? But I know New York is.
It's awesome. It's
oh
very
my God, it must be nice.
Yeah,
So
because it's still New York. I've heard that it's like Staten Island that's kind of for like the Trump area. Like,
that is very true.
Okay.
That is very true. Yeah, Staten Island, parts of Long Island can be very, conservative and Trumpy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And also there's like, don't you guys think there's a difference between like I don't have a problem with, a Republican or like, a conservative person, but there's a total difference between being that and being like a
MAGA
cult Trumpy thing, whatever that is.
Yeah, there's a total difference between conservative, Republican, and then MAGA folks.
Yeah.
Like MAGA, I mean, you talk to any of them, and you just feel like you're talking to somebody in a cult. I mean, because I've watched a million cult documentaries, and they act just like the young girls in that, I should say, because most of them are like men taking advantage of young girls. So it's like, but these grown men sound like those young girls. I mean, just defending everything dear leader says.
Yeah, around here.
Making excuses constantly.
Around here, it is still about 70% MAGA.
Yeah.
On it. And even with the gas prices, before the election, you talk to people, just like, look, inflation's just too high. I don't support him, but I just can't afford eggs. And that's because nobody really wants to defend him. Right out.
Because they still know that he's a piece of crap. I mean, but they're willing to be okay with it because of prices. But now that the prices are up, you'll see a lot of them still making excuses for it. Well, we need to go into Iran. So they should have taken care of this.
Yeah,
blah blah blah. And it's like, no, there was no danger, no imminent threat. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and they around here they'll parrot that freedom isn't free. I'll gladly pay $1 more a gallon just so they don't get a nuclear weapon.
All the cliches, they will say all of them.
Yeah, they're walking cliches because it's a form of brainwashing. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very sad, and it's I don't know. It's very scary in so many ways because I don't know how you stop that. How do you stop that kind of cult, mentality and that brainwashing of so many Americans? That's just like they've lost their ability to think for themselves.
I think mostly from like watching all the documentaries, it has to be the people who are in the cult have to come to some sort of realization. Because even some of the cults where the cult leader has died, like take, for example, the Branch Davidians. There are people who still consider themselves Branch Davidians to this day, and David Koresh is dead. A lot of them, it will say, like, if you watch the documentary on those folks, it'll be like former Branch Davidian at the bottom of the screen when it'll show their name. But a lot of them, it will say their name and it will still say Branch Davidian. Like, and you're like, why? What are you still doing in that? Like, what?
Yeah, the Kool-Aid is pretty powerful stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
It really is. It's very powerful stuff to be drinking because, yeah. And I think a lot of these people just maybe aren't very smart to begin with, you know?
Yeah.
I hate to say it that way, but I do think that's a big part of it. And then there's others that are more easily manipulated and easily led to believe things that they see on Fox News or on TV or whatever, because they have that on all the time. I know people like that, my relatives and stuff.
Yeah.
On 24/7, and they just eat it up. Whatever is said, whatever, they just regurgitate it, and they regurgitate the same messaging over and over and over and over and over. And that's what Trump does. He just says the same 5 things over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And if you repeat it enough times, they're gonna believe it. And that's it. That's all he does. And
because
they eat it up.
that's probably why he's so good at being a cult leader, because I mean that they teach that in just basic business. Like if you, in order to run not that he's really run successful business, he is very good at being a red hat salesman, though. I will give him that. He excels at that. But like, they teach that in business school. You have to just keep repeating yourself. Like, you have to believe in the product and you have to convince others of that. And
yeah, believe the lie.
Yeah, right?
Yep.
Crazy.
I guess that explains why we have such a hard time dating if it's 70% MAGA here.
Well, that's what I was going to say when you were asking her. I'm like, she should just say, move. Move. You'll be able to date.
That might be a good point. I know when I was on those dating apps, I put everything in my dating profile. Like, I was very honest. Like, I put stuff like, no MAGAs, please.
That's what I put. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be like false advertising. And I'm like, just get it out there. Let people know so they can just, I even told them, if you're MAGA, please swipe the way that I vote. So just swipe it to the left. I'm warning you now.
Yeah, I just believe in being honest up front. I was the same way with being, hey, I'm a widowed person. I put it all out there right away just because I don't want to waste my time and I don't want to waste their time,
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's reached the point where I think you could have years ago, you could date somebody from another party, but I think it's reached the point where it's so polarized, you just can't anymore.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And that's very sad. Don't you find that sad that we're in that place now?
Yeah.
Well, so for me, I could have, I've dated a lot of Republicans, but now I haven't even really been on those sites because my big thing is I cannot date someone that makes excuses for the whole stuff regarding the Epstein files. And his supporters that are making excuses for that. I'm like, no.
Yeah, there's no way.
That's a big one. That's yeah.
I don't. We just try to survive it through comedy. I mean, that's how we take in our news. We watch the clips from the late night shows. We watch funny stuff.
The Daily Show.
Just to cope with everything.
Like watching the Daily Show. Yeah, gotta watch that.
Same here. We kind of tape all of it and then watch, all the Kimmel monologue, the Colbert monologue, the Daily Show, all that stuff,
Oh God.
Yeah.
It keeps me sane and it keeps me laughing and
It's really sad Colbert's going to go away next week.
It's very sad, very sad. And it's like the end of an era, you know, because it's not just Colbert, but it's like
The whole show,
the
too.
Late Show, the
Yeah.
end of the Ed Sullivan Theater, the end of the whole thing. Like, that's so sad.
Yep.
It was pretty cool, though, him and Letterman throwing the stuff off the building.
Isn't that amazing?
I love that.
Yeah, and Letterman calling them motherfuckers at the end.
They look like they had such a good time, though, pushing the stuff off.
Yep, it was so great. So great. I loved that.
Yeah,
Made me very happy.
right.
Speaking of comedy, which video of yours made ridiculousness?
It was the Bacon Sunday one. Do you remember that one?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was the one where I went into a Burger King and I ate. They were selling a bacon sundae at the time. It was called a bacon sundae, and it was basically a sundae that had bacon all through it. It was disgusting.
Ew.
It was like pieces of bacon all through it. And Opie and I had this idea to go in to a Burger King, and he basically said, just act like a complete lunatic, like you can't get enough of this disgusting bacon sundae. And that's what I did. I ordered it, sat down by myself, and he just filmed me. And I sat down and I just started like, you know, almost like a When Harry Met Sally orgasm moment. And
No way.
reaction to the bacon sundae, and I started like pounding my fist on the table and like, this is so good. Oh my God, this is amazing. And I just had this like epic reaction to the bacon sundae, and I kept saying, there's bacon in there. There's bacon. Do you people understand? And there was really not that many people in the Burger King, so it made it funnier. It made me look like a complete lunatic that was talking to herself. And that one got picked up by a few different places, but yeah, Ridiculousness wanted that one. It was many years ago, but it was on there.
I can't believe they actually had that on the menu.
Yeah, I
A
don't think it's on
bacon
there
sundae.
anymore, but it's one of those like limited
Wow.
time things they had
Yeah.
for a time, and it was pretty gross. Like, you know, I have to say, putting big slabs of bacon in the middle of a hot fudge sundae is pretty disgusting.
Oh, so you're a good actress
Right.
then.
We did another one like that too. Well, the McFarlane video actually came from a longer video that was about, I went into McDonald's and ordered the McLobster, which they also had on the menu.
No way.
That was a real thing.
Yeah, it is.
And I went in and I ordered the McLobster, and then I had like a meltdown because they said they didn't have it. And I had this huge meltdown about, well, what am I going to do? I'm supposed to be throwing this party, and I'm serving McLobsters, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And then at the end is when I fall. And that part of the video is what became viral, was the last 10 seconds of me falling on the floor and saying, oh, I've fallen. That became like the big sensation. But the whole video was like 6 or 7 minutes long, and that was just the end of it.
That's funny.
I have to ask you, you're from Massachusetts originally, right?
I am, yes. I'm from Groton, Massachusetts, which is a little town about 20 minutes outside Nashua, New Hampshire.
Okay, this is my issue with you, okay? How are you a Yankees fan?
Oh, I know. Everybody says that because I lived in Massachusetts until I was, 18. And then I moved to New York to go to college, and I lived in New York for 26 years of my whole adult life. I was in New York City, and I became a Yankees fan because I started going to Yankees games with my college friends, and then after college, and it was impossible to not become a Yankees fan because it was the Joe Torre era, it was Derek Jeter.
Because they were winning.
It was amazing. It was like they were constantly wet. It was just amazing. It was like electric being there. And I started going to the Subway Series, Mets, Yankees. I will say I love the Red Sox. I'm not one of those people that hates the Red Sox because I like the Yankees. I mean, I am from Massachusetts. I am a fan of all the other Boston sports teams. I'm a Bruins fan. I'm a Patriots fan. I'm not really into basketball, but if I watch it, I'm a Celtics fan. But the New York Yankees just kind of like, I don't know, I just kind of fell in love with them when I moved to New York, and I was always going to baseball games because I had a lot of baseball friends, and I'm a baseball person, so that's kind of how it happened. But I love watching Yankees-Red Sox games, and I love the rivalry, and I love the feud. That's my favorite thing.
At, at first I didn't mind the Yankees, but then around your area when they started winning all the time, that's when I got annoyed with them. But my dad took me to my first game at Fenway Park, and it was the Red Sox and the Yankees, and it was 1979, and
Yep.
that great team. And my favorite player, even though I like the Red Sox, my favorite player was Reggie Jackson, just because of his attitude. And this was the most Boston thing ever. We're out in right field in the cheap seats, and the guy behind me yells, "Hey, Reggie, you N-word. There's no way that you can
Whoa.
hit the ball over my head." I swear to God. And there's no way Reggie heard this. But the next swing, bam! This home run, I don't think I've seen one since, goes flying right over us. And I just remember little 10-year-old me looking at the guy like, how's that feel?
Karma, right? Instant karma.
Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
Right?
Oh, and
That's a
then,
good one.
and then there was another one where it's actually cheaper to go see a Red Sox-Yankees game at Yankee Stadium. So I took my stepson at the time because he wanted to see a Red Sox-Yankees game. And so we go to Yankee Stadium, and we're out there, and he watched the games with me, and he'd be like, he's chanting, "Yankees suck, Yankees suck." I'm like, don't do that here. Don't do that here. I was wearing a Red Sox jersey, but I was wearing an FDNY hat. I'm like, look, I'm one of the cool ones, I'm one of the cool ones.
Yep.
And I go up to use the bathroom, and the police are following me, and I'm like, I go into the restroom. I'm like, look, I'm not going to cause trouble. And they're like, look, we're not think that you're going to cause trouble. We're just here to protect you. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Oh, okay.
That's awesome. Well, when I go to, I've been to many Yankees Red Sox games at both places, Fenway Park and Yankee Stadium. And when I go to Fenway, I wear all my Yankees stuff, right? I have the Yankees t-shirt, I have the Yankees hat, I have the NY on my stickers on my cheeks. I mean, I go all out. I do my nails in Yankee blue, all of it. And my brother and others that have been there with me who are huge Red Sox fans always think I'm crazy, and they're like, "Oh, you're gonna get killed. How do you do that?" And I'm like, "It's fine. Everybody is, half the place is Yankee fans. It's a Yankee Red Sox game. It really is like awesome." So it's kind of funny because each time I do that, I often run into other Yankee fans, but they're not as brave as me. They have just random clothing on, and they'll come up to me and they'll be like showing me, they're unzipping their sweatshirt and they've got Yankee stuff on underneath, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're so much braver than me. You're wearing it." I'm like, "You're such a pussy. You can't even
I know, right? It's just a game.
Yeah. No, Boston.
The other team can be there too.
Boston Red Sox fans are actually cool.
Yeah.
Especially in that stadium.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun rivalry. That's exactly what it should be. It
Yeah.
should be a fun rivalry, and you get on each other, and you rag on each other and you banter, and that's what makes it fun.
Yeah. That's what it's supposed to be like. No fighting,
I know.
no fist fights.
And that's the way our politics should be. We just
That's the way that used to be too. It used to be banter-ish, and it used to be civil, and it used to be, the sides had different views, but everybody was okay with that, and you shook each other's hand at the end of the debate, and that was that. It wasn't like this hateful, vile, disgusting, disrespectful atmosphere that it is now. It's just so horrible now. It's awful.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Kelley, I think that's probably a good way to end it. Let's give you one more plug. Okay, when will you be in Toronto?
I will be in Toronto the last weekend in May for Camp Widow. It is May 28th through May 31st, and that is at the Toronto Delta Marriott. If you want information about it, if anybody out there listening is widowed, there's still time to register for that event. And you just go to soaringspirits.ca for Canada, and you can find the information there.
Okay, and we highly recommend your book, My Husband Is Not a Rainbow.
Mm-hmm. Good book.
Thank you.
And
Thank you so much.
And it was really nice catching up with you.
It
Yeah.
was awesome catching up with you both. It's been way too long, and it was a lot of fun.
Okay, Kelley. Well, we'll wrap this up. Just stay on the line for 1 second. Okay, Snow. I guess we'll talk to y'all next week.
Right? Yeah. Bye, y'all.
Bye.